fake news. This is news you can trust. You're listening to the Babylon Bee. Here are your infallible hosts, Kyle Mann and Ethan Nicolle. Their pronouns are thee, thou, and thine.
How are thou, Kyle?
I'm great. I'm here with my friend Garth.
How dare you?
My name is Wayne.
What does that mean?
And welcome to Wayne's World.
Are you referring to
we had a
subscriber jokes?
We had a subscriber say that our method of podcasting is the Wayne and Garth method.
I guess that's probably kind of true.
And that's this is the earliest homeschool notification we've given in a podcast. But for our homeschoolers, Wayne's World was a
highly secular movie.
Wasn't it based on a Saturday Night Live sketch that they did?
Yeah, I believe.
You know, it's always a quality movie when you take a 2-minute Saturday Night Live sketch and stretch it out.
They did that a lot. Coneheads was that. Blues Brothers was that too, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Learn something every day.
All right, Garth. Well, what do we have today?
Well, today
on this podcast,
I want to do some self-promotion real quick because it's been a big week for me. I made a book. Have I mentioned this book on the podcast yet?
I think we might have talked about it. It's called Brave Ollie Possum.
Yeah, this is a children's book that I spent a long time writing. So this book, I read my kids' bedtime stories every night, reading them all the classics, and I got really into it, and I started realizing what I really liked and what I didn't like in bedtime stories. And I got super inspired, especially after reading Roald Dahl, like BFG, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and Matilda, books like that, to write my own story. So this book, I spent a couple years really writing like over and over again. There's over 200 illustrations in it, and it's finally coming out. It's hardbound. It's about 370 pages. It's glorious. I'm really proud of it. And if you have kids or if you like fantastical stories, well, you read it, Kyle. What did you think of it?
I will hawk your wares for you.
Yeah, you gave me a really long review. I almost said blessed. I was blessed by it. Thank you.
I got on a plane and it was I don't remember, 4-hour flight or something.
Nothing better to do.
Nothing better to do because, I'm not going to pay the $10 for the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So if you're on a plane and you have nothing better to do, read
Brave Ollie Possum.
That was great. I mean, there is I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there is an amazing epic scene that you can see coming if you know Ethan and you look at some clues in the context.
Did you see it coming when it came?
I didn't see that specific outcome, but
the thing I'm really proud of is there's some big surprises in the book, and I don't think I've had anybody call them before they come out.
Yeah, well, you give that aside in the beginning, like someone just says something on an offhanded way, and I'm like, oh, that's coming back in some way later on. And I like know you, and I just know
people listening have no idea what we're talking about.
Okay, well, anyway, there's an epic finale that just makes the whole thing worth it, and it's wonderful.
Yeah,
so
sweet.
It's a great book.
Okay, well, that's for pre-order on Amazon, but by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be very close to being available. It comes out October 27th. And you can get it on Amazon, or you can go to Cannonball Books or Cannon Books. I'll put the link in the show notes if you want to give it an order. All right.
Cool.
Well, this week we're going to be talking to Ben Howe.
How
will we talk to Ben Howe?
He's going to come in here and talk to us.
Yeah.
That's how.
And he wrote a book called The Immoral Majority, which is about he doesn't like Trump. I don't know.
Wow, that's
the best way to put that.
That's a really, really rich description.
Really rich description.
Compelling and rich.
The shocking story of evangelical Christendom embracing Trump. So we'll get into that more later, but we're going to talk to Ben Howe.
Yeah, it sounded broader than that to me. It sounded more
it was a lot more. We talked about a lot of stuff, too.
Yeah, well,
we actually talked about a lot of really stupid stuff.
Did we?
Yeah.
Last week, we actually talked about last week, and my mind is a whirlwind. I can't even remember what we talked about.
It's Kyle's early in the week, and all I can think about is what stories are we posting today.
That's all I'm thinking about right now.
But right now, we're going to go and we're going to do our...
Every week, there are stories. These are some of them.
Keith and Kristyn Getty struggling to come up with word that rhymes with substitutionary atonement. I know, I posted this article.
Yeah.
And I think this might have been the day we interviewed Ben Howe last week.
Oh, was it the day of?
Because every time we do a podcast, I'm like trying to write articles. And then like, okay, it takes a couple hours or whatever. I'm like, oh shoot, I need to go publish something. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, man,
Yeah, you're always twitching during podcasts.
Yeah, I'm like, I got to give Keith and Kristyn Getty some love. So I published this article. Nobody got it. Nobody understood it. Mm-hmm. Ethan's like, who?
Yeah.
You know, so. But the cool part was that Keith and Kristyn Getty actually took note of this article. And they actually wrote... They wrote and recorded like a minute-long clip of this song where they tried to come up with rhymes. And they did come up with rhymes for Substitutionary Atonement.
So I was so dumb when you played this, or when I saw this video, I thought they were just singing just a normal hymn.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there was a joke in the lyrics.
Yeah.
Here, we'll just play a little audio from that. Listen to this. Kyle, imagine Kyle watching this, like squeezing his little hands together, like, ooh, they like me. Oops, I pushed the wrong button.
Dang it, Ethan.
Terrible at this.
Garth.
Oh.
Right, I think I've got the lyrics settled, not so sure, but if you can help me.
So Irish.
Yeah.
The lyrics.
I'm Jesse.
Hi. Ah, the fish in the sea and the wind in my head and the ocean. Yeah.
My heart will sing beyond this fading moment. My only hope, my only confidence. There is no rhyme or melody could fully grasp substitution.
One rhyme.
We repeat and repeat again. Substitutionary atonement.
Sounds better in headphones.
It's good. Very Irish.
Yeah, it is.
Celtic.
Thank you, B.
Thank you, B, man.
Say you're welcome. Say you're welcome.
You're welcome. So I was, I think that day, you know, I was having trouble coming up with articles, and we, you know, it was like, again, the podcast days are always weird for me. And this goes out, and I was like, oh, you know, nobody shared this article.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Who's the Gettys? I don't know. That's I feel bad.
You know,
I
it's
didn't know now.
Christian humor where you have to know who these people are.
I actually wished I had known, because I do appreciate they're trying to make modern hymns, right? They're trying to make songs.
And you've heard their songs. It's just nobody, you know. It's
like, what are some of their biggest hits?
In Christ Alone.
In Christ alone.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like a lunar active voice.
That's not.
Did you sing? What did you sing like backup on that?
No, I sang lead.
Were you the lead singer?
That's
on
me.
that?
That's me singing. And
I heard your voice, but I couldn't tell because you guys have all those layers.
All the layers. Well, most of the layers are me too, but
really?
It's like a choir of me singing in your ear, in your face.
Awesome.
But we're not talking about me.
Yeah. So anyway, I so the next day I'm like, I was at home and I'm like, oh, you know, I tell my wife, didn't get many shares today, and then all of a sudden this pops up on my mentions, and I'm like, oh my gosh! I'm like, Keith and Kristyn Getty recorded a hymn based on a Babylon Bee article. So now Babylon Bee is like actually affecting Christian culture, and that.
See?
So yeah, it was great.
So this Sunday we'll be singing this song in church.
My pastor texted me after that, and he's like, we're going to sing this song on Sunday. So anyway, these guys, like, they write these hymns that have like very specific theological implications. Like, they're very careful about their theology and stuff. And so that was the joke, right? Like, substitutionary atonement. Like, okay, they're going to write. And so what I love about this hymn that they record is like them actually just saying substitutionary atonement. Like in the...
See, I felt like if you're really going to rhyme it, you need to have a word like that rhymes with the whole thing. Like fiduciary alonement or something. Fiduciary. I don't know what it rhymed. I didn't have a planned rhyme.
Some people in the comments on our post came up with some good ones that actually rhymed. But yeah, I think you've got to rhyme every bit, right? Because I think they cheated a little bit. Like they said predicament. Like the answer to our great predicament.
Atonement.
But even
which is fine. A moment. They rhyme moment and alonement.
Which is how a normal rhyme would be in a song.
Yeah, that's normal.
But
they were, it's
anyway.
fine.
Thank you, Keith and Kristyn Getty. You made my whole life.
Yeah.
And I'm going to retire now.
RNC raising money to help Democrats televise 5 debates a week.
Oh, man. This was submitted in our headline forum by, I had his name here and now I lost it. Tom Gaffney, one of our paid subscribers. So thank you, Tom. And this article went crazy because this was the day after the debate, and it was just everybody was saying crazy things again, and it was just I feel like it's the same thing all over again. Every one of these debates, these crazy sound clips that come out, and
it feels like they're trying to, because Trump has like opened the gates of say crazy stuff.
Sure,
everyone's like trying to out crazy each other. Like Beto's just going all in.
I like how he's systematically like dismantling the Bill of Rights, like every single one of them.
Do you know any samples what he said? I don't have.
He was like, I think this was the debate where he said that we should start taxing churches if they don't agree with him on LGBT issues.
Yeah, was it just taxing them, or is it like?
Yeah, it was remove the tax exempt status from churches if they disagree. That's right.
Which would basically a lot of churches would just close them down.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I was helping manage the budget for a small church in San Diego, and it's like razor thin.
Yeah, our church barely hangs on.
Most of them are having trouble just paying the bills. Might be connected
to that Pew Research that came out that numbers are going down. People need to listen to this podcast to come to Christ. I don't know where we're going with this.
Are you making a joke about Pew Research?
No.
What's your Pew Research joke that we're going to do soon, Ethan?
It's the stupidest joke, and I didn't expect anybody to like it. I almost wanted to disown it and say that someone else thought of it. It's something I like about the B. The names aren't on there, so you don't know the joke. Pew Research, new Pew Research survey. That's hard to say out loud. Pew Research study survey shows that 100% of church pews are highly uncomfortable. So dumb.
I like the idea that like for years this has been the Pew Research Center's entire mission. Like,
that's what it's always sounded like to me. That they're just studying church pews.
We really need a good Photoshop though, like the.
Oh, I just did a picture of pews.
Oh, did you already put it up?
It's already up there, by the way.
Oh shoot! I was thinking you get the scientist like examining it.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could do something like that, or a guy that looks really uncomfortable.
But it's a podcast day, so I need to run material. So I'll just.
This is how the sausage is made here, people.
Yeah, Pew Research.
I had another uncle joke today too. A lot of uncle jokes. I'm not even an uncle. Oh no, yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. Okay.
Are you just did you just disown your niece and nephew or whatever?
Disown my. I never think of myself as an uncle, but because we don't see each other very much. Okay, next story. You want to take this one?
I just want to say that that we thoroughly covered that story.
Did we? We're rushing. We got a busy day today.
We do, but that was funny. So.
And we got the interview's pretty beefy, so
we want this podcast to feel like you're just lounging about.
Yeah, you're just hanging out in the writer's room. We're not going to give you anything. If you want invaluable information about this stuff, don't come here. Go. We get read stuff. Go to Discern.
We get criticisms of our podcast, or people are like, Kyle and Ethan don't know what they're talking about with the news.
Yeah, that's not the point.
Correct. That is correct. Yeah. So anyway, so you're sitting here with us, and the room is filled with cigar smoke because Ethan's on his 5th cigar.
Mm-hmm. And Kyle's 1/5 into his first cigar.
And choking.
Choking? What are you talking about?
Yeah. So anyway. Okay, let's move on.
Final story.
Satan endorses Paula White's new book.
It's harsh, man.
Satan.
That's the guy with the horns, right?
That is the pitchfork. I wonder where that comes from. I guess probably medieval art or something.
I have no idea.
But it was big, and like I always remember the old Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck cartoons, like when they were in hell. That was the scariest stuff, man.
Yeah.
When like those demons are poking everybody with those long pitchforks.
It's true. That was scary.
The flames are coming up, and like who thought that was a good idea for a children's cartoon?
And they have goat legs. Men with goat legs. That's scary. It's weird how close a satyr is to a demon.
Yeah, it must come from something like that.
Like you just take the pitchfork away, give them a different skin tone, and suddenly they're cute.
Yeah.
Ever think of that?
And they've got the
columnist is like,
oh yeah,
it's an easy Halloween costume for him. He could just go paint himself red and be a demon.
Red face.
Getting red face.
And then the pictures will come out years later. And
yeah, when he's trying to become like vice president of the angelic union of angels.
Yeah.
And then like, you were in red face.
You dressed up as Satan for Halloween 20 years ago, Mr. Tumnus. So a bunch
Trudeau would make a good tumnus, actually. I don't know. It just kind of hit me. I envisioned it. Okay,
Trudeau as tumnus.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be our next Christian cinematic universe. It probably won't be, but
no, won't be.
Never say never. but never. So a bunch of evangelical pastors endorsed Paula White's new book, which is crazy because she's a heretic.
Okay.
And also,
is that crazy though in this day and age?
Well, it was weird. It was almost like, they probably had Paula White probably had some PR agent, or her publisher had some PR guy who went and emailed a bunch of, because you get those kind of emails. Even at the Babylon Bee, we get emails like, hey, we're looking to promote this book that comes out on this day. Would you share this? Yeah. And they'll even send you the copy, like, here's what you're supposed to say on your Twitter account. And it's
supposed to make it easier for you.
It's very fake, And you'll see that in politics sometimes where like all the Democrats will tweet the same thing or like the same phrase at the same time, Same thing on the right, of course. But so I suspect there were some PR people that were talking to the PR people for all these evangelical pastors, and nobody really vetted this. And they're just like, okay, yeah, we'll promote this thing, Maybe money exchanged hands. I don't know. But I think it's usually not money. I think it's usually just, scratching people's backs or whatever.
I didn't know much about her before all this.
Yeah.
But I know that she'd been...
And this kind of...
She's like female version of like Joel Osteen or something?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Lady Osteen?
We need to... now my wheels are turning.
Osteen and drag?
Now the wheels are turning here. But she's like been divorced multiple times. Oof. Oh, which, okay, yeah, I mean, that's something that plagues our whole culture, so I'm not gonna like... But then to be like, to lift yourself up as this like holy, preacher and leader and be,
But is it prosperity type stuff? Is that what her heretic stuff is?
Yeah. She's a prosperity gospel preacher. She's one of those like multimillionaires, preaching the gospel, getting rich off of it. She had some Trinitarian heresy, I think, if I remember right. She had some issue where she was denying the Trinity and
Trinitarian.
What?
It's just shortening it up, making new words up.
So anyway, and she's a big supporter of Donald Trump, which is where this all comes kind of full circle. As people were saying, well, they're only supporting her because she supports Trump.
Like team, which is going to be the topic kind of that we're going to kind of get into, like the evangelical support of Trump. That's kind of weird.
She said that she led Trump to Christ, and
really? I missed that part.
Shared the gospel with him, but she's like, but he's been a Christian since he was young, and like all this, But I shared the gospel with him, and I think she prayed at his inauguration.
Okay,
so so we're gonna talk about that a little bit, and when we talk here with Ben Howe, so.
Yeah, we're talking to Ben Howe, and one thing that we invented during this discussion with Ben Howe is because Ben Howe he's doing this book about how Christians and evangelicals were like, we're trying to be moral, but then we want moral leaders, and then suddenly they're like, oh, but Trump's fine, and so he cusses a lot, which is kind of a bit of a...
He's like, all these Christians are immoral. He's like,
we should be moral. F
you.
But so I invented this.
Yeah,
we came with this idea during this interview that we got sick of the bleep sound effect. So you just like in an old cable, when you put a movie on cable, they just throw a different word over.
Yeah.
So it's like, Kyle, you son of a... Oh, I hit the wrong button.
Dang it, Ethan.
Kyle, you son of a...
Flower bed.
So we got that. So if you ever hear Dave DeAndrea randomly say a word, you'll know that was a bad word that Ben said. Me and Kyle never cuss, especially Kyle.
Yeah. I really don't. Maybe if I'm really upset.
You say Jack.
Flower bed.
That's all you say.
That's Jack.
Which is barely, it's not even a cuss word, but still.
Did I ever tell you the time that I said I said that word?
Flower bed.
Not that word. Because in C.S. Lewis, he writes about the characters call each other an ass.
Whoa. They call each other an ass.
Flower bed.
Referring to a donkey.
Yeah. They used a lot in when I read my kids' old fairy tales, that comes up all the time.
And I got all upset. And I told my mom, this book I checked out at my school library has the A word. She's like, oh, it just means donkey. So the next day I went to school and I was like calling all my friends,
Nice.
the A word. But I didn't use it in any proper context. So it's just like, hey, A word.
When I was in second grade, we were learning how to use the CH sound, TCH at the end of a word. And the teacher's having us like list off all these words.
Oh, no.
You can see where this is going. I had no idea it was a bad word. I just said it. I'm just like, bleh.
Flower bed.
And then I got in trouble. Or the teacher just looked at me like, no, I'm not writing on the board. Because we're all writing, stitch and ditch and switch. Anyway, all right.
That's kind of on the teacher. But anyway, before we get to Ben Howe, we wanted to give a trigger warning.
Oh, yeah. Quick trigger warning.
For
my Trump fans.
Trump supporters. We know that you guys are sensitive. Very. And we want
to respect that. We want to respect that sensitivity.
You are very special to us, and you are a snowflake. And every snowflake is unique.
Delicate, unique snowflake.
But all snowflakes are alike in that they all melt when the sun comes. And so if you are a rabid Trump supporter, you've got a MAGA tattoo, the whole deal. We just wanted to give
Trump stamp.
Yeah. If you have which is a Trump tattoo on your lower back.
Yes.
Just consider this a trigger warning that there will be some criticism of the president during the next portion of the podcast. So please be aware and shield yourself. Find a safe space if you need. Hug your Trump plushie, your Trump body pillow, and just find yourself a safe space. Yeah, self-care is very, very important.
Indeed.
Presenting an exclusive Babylon Bee interview.
Everybody, welcome. We have our exclusive Babylon Bee interview with, is it Ben Howe?
It is.
Howie.
Sure I pronounced
Last time I checked.
Howie.
The E is silent.
You would be surprised.
All the different pronunciations.
One time I was talking to a customer service person, and she said Ben Howie a few times, and then I said, it's actually Ben Howe, and she goes, well, different people pronounce it different ways. And I was like, no, they don't actually. There's really one pronunciation, and
that's like the one word you get to decide how it's pronounced. It's your name,
right? I mean, I feel like I could change it at any moment. That's up to me.
Yeah,
I could decide it's pronounced Jeffries.
Yeah,
what could they say?
Up to you. Yeah. Oh. Well, a little introduction here. Whereas I forgot my glasses today. Maybe Kyle should read the introduction.
I'll read the introduction.
It's not the long
publisher's
version,
book blurb.
It's very long. No,
I can do my own.
You want to introduce yourself?
If you want.
Yeah, but you have to talk in the third person. Can you do that? Like, Ben Howe is an author.
I want you to do it in the third person. Absolutely do that.
And try to talk like Kyle.
I'll talk like this.
There you go. Sizzle. Put some sizzle on it.
Some sizzle reel.
Yeah.
I'm an author. No, sorry. No,
Ben Howe is
third person. Yeah. Ben Howe is an author, columnist, prolific tweeter, and moral failure with a string of bad relationships behind him.
And also the nation's moral authority and conscience. I'm getting a door, like, the name on your door. Yeah. It's just going to say Ben Howe, chief moralist.
So
that's going to be mine.
Better than you, other Christians.
That's right.
Okay.
So Ben Howe kind of was one of the guys who was against Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Are you like one of the Justice
election.
League, like the Never Trumper Justice League?
Well, there was a core group of us.
Yeah.
So are you Wonder Woman or?
I'm
incredible. He's the Thing. Wait, is he on? He's on the Justice League.
That's the wrong franchise, my friend.
No, I'm.
But Ben Graham, I was trying to.
Did all the Teen Titans eventually get in the Justice League, or could I not reference any of them?
Probably depends on the timeline we're talking about.
I have no idea.
So. Okay. Ethan draws comics for a living, and he doesn't know anything about it.
I think Cyborg.
Cyborg.
Yeah, okay, Cyborg. Yeah.
Okay.
Cyborg was in the Justice League.
That's right. He definitely was.
Yeah.
So my kids, I watch the new Teen Titans, which is hilarious.
I've written a couple Teen Titans Go.
Oh, have you now?
Yeah.
The comic or the show?
Show.
Oh, wow. I got to tell my kids that.
That was the one where they didn't use any of your jokes though, right?
I wrote 4 of them. There was like 3 of them they used almost nothing I wrote, and then one of them they used every word. So it makes me wonder if they were like under the gun on that one and they didn't have time to change it.
You know what's funny is like when Toy Story came out in the 90s, it was supposed to be this big change in terms of the CGI was going to be the new, like they were introducing that as the new way of doing animation.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest change that was made in the wake of Toy Story was the adult humor being inserted into the films to make them enjoyable for the adults. Because I want to watch these movies.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always this humor that's going over my kids' heads. And I'm like, I'm watching it and going, that was about sex, actually. It's just,
yeah. In Hollywood, they call that 4-quad. You guys know that term?
oh, is that really?
Because there's 4 quadrants.
Tell us,
audience.
Hollywood.
There's 4 audience. There's audiences that you target. There's like little kids. There's like junior high. There's high school, or that kind of area. Then there's like the older adults are kind of out of touch with what's hip and cool. If you can hit all those audiences with one movie, that's like the biggest money. That's why you can have the biggest budget for a 4-quad film. So,
Oh, wow.
Like Mad Max.
right.
Or heavy metal from back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Right?
That's it.
Or something more obscure. I'm trying to think.
All right. So
I can go obscure if you want.
so your book is called The Immoral Majority.
Right.
And it's pronounced exactly like that.
It is.
And I'm going to read a bit of your book blurb here. It says, how a believer and deeply conservative analyzes and debunks the intellectual dishonesty and manipulative rhetoric which evangelical leaders use to convince Christians to toe the Republican Party line. As long as evangelicals prioritize power over persuasion, Howe argues, their pews will be empty and their national influence will dwindle. So let me just ask you, why do you hate America?
Well, my hatred for America is really rooted in my hatred of God, clearly.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't have written the book in the first place.
Yeah. Well, we're glad that you can come clean on that.
Yeah, I just needed to challenge his authority because somebody needs to. Yeah. And Satan obviously failed at that. So I just wanted to step up to the plate.
So is this book like primarily about Trump? Or are we talking just Republican Party values in general?
It's actually, it's current events focused in that Trump era is where a lot of what I'm talking about takes place. But overall, it is about the movement going back to the late 70s with the Immoral Majority and Jerry Falwell and those folks. And I've been an evangelical all my life. And my dad worked for Falwell and he went to Dallas Theological Seminary and we went to Chris Wells First Baptist Church in Dallas. I mean, all over this stuff. And it's mostly about how it was a movement predicated on the idea. The evangelical movement was predicated on the idea that they were seeking a higher standard for leadership, not of a particular party, but more about moral character. They had their big moment of proving that in the 90s with Bill Clinton, where they acknowledged that the economy was good, but they said that didn't matter in light of these greater concerns. And now in 2016, what became clear to me and to many other people, I think, was like, no, that's all
porpoises.
It's actually just about power. And once they got that seat, they weren't using it for what they said they were going to use it for. They said they wanted the seat at the table to be able to represent Christian values in terms of what you should expect out of these leaders. But really, the seat gives them a position with the Republican Party. And now they've merged partisanship with faith to such a degree that you can pull the lever as an act of allegiance to God.
So, I mean, is there a way for Christian values, though, to interact with the world and institutions of the world like politics in a way that's faithful?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that every Christian would be pretty foolish to compartmentalize their faith. If they went into the voting booth, they should be thinking about their faith. The issue becomes when that faith is dependent upon one political party, and that your demonstration of your faith is no longer based on a set of values or principles, but instead on whether or not you're voting for the Republican versus the Democrat, then it's not really a faith-based argument. It's a political one that's using religion in the same way they would use any other campaign issue. So I use my, not use.
Yeah.
It's not a drug, but like my faith comes into play anytime I'm in the voting booth.
I get high on GOD.
Oh man,
the best drug there is.
Pull out that acoustic guitar.
I want to play some "Addicted to Jesus" by Carmen and DC Talk now.
Not everything's about Carmen, Ethan.
Have you ever met Carmen? I ask every interview that if I can remember to.
I have not.
Sad.
Did you listen to him?
No, my Christian music world started.
What kind of Christian upbringing did you have? You say your father was a
Petra, the Imperials.
Petra. Okay.
That kind of stuff. DC Talk was around, but by then I was already listening to Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
So
you'd fallen off.
You'd already fallen from your faith.
We weren't allowed to listen to secular music.
Right.
And then I was the youngest.
You were out?
I was the youngest. And my sister was a senior, and she was demanding that we get to listen to the secular music. And so then I got like in earlier than they did. We're in the car. My dad's like, fine. He turns the radio station. Literally the first song is Belle Biv DeVoe. You can turn up in the morning. You can do
Monkey
me at night. And
we're going to bleep that.
It was good.
Have to bleep
We
that.
shouldn't. Yeah.
We bleep it.
Just
It'll
bleep
sound
do.
worse.
Just bleep. Yeah. Bleep out.
Bleep me in the morning.
You can bleep.
Bleep out night and just like throw
In
people
the-
off. Do me
Wow,
in
that's
the
worse. Everything's worse.
My dad used to wake us up for church on Sunday with a Petra record.
Oh yeah.
He would just blast it on the, we had the floor stereo, and he would just blast it, and that's how everybody had to get up.
And there was I can't remember if it was Imperials or Petra. I just remember the song "We Are Not of This World." That was a big one for me.
I thought Imperials was like a doo-wop band. Am I wrong about that? Like
You
a
are
Motown.
wrong. You are.
We always did. I always like that from Bullfrogs and Butterflies. There's that "Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's time to rise and shine." That song.
Oh no,
That's a good morning song.
My parents were.
It's right there in the lyrics.
My parents were cool.
Okay.
So
With Petra, they're
well,
obviously cool.
yeah, cool within the dome of that world.
Cool is relative when you're talking about Christian parents.
That's right. My parents said, "Gosh darn it," like plenty of times. So
So, how much did Hillary Clinton pay you to come out against Trump?
well,
the 2016
the implication here is that the
Or
payments have stopped.
Either that or there's a
Oh,
sniper.
yeah.
On
How
him
much
right
is she
now.
still paying you?
Right.
Or what kind of threats?
And
the Clintons.
it was a little. It wasn't quite that direct. I mean, it was George Soros. So,
gotcha. They used
that's
Soros.
not. They can't do it directly.
What's a meeting with George Soros like? Do they like drag you into the dark room and he's in his big chair?
Oh no. The ways that a meeting goes with a guy like George Soros or any of those shadowy figures that are part of the cabal. Is they just bring in a bunch of money and a photo of one of your loved ones tied up, and they ask you which one matters to you most, and obviously the money. So
Yeah, I assume they have a lead pipe and they're kind of
Yeah.
hitting it in their other hand.
Yeah.
right, and
Like a
so
little
that's
league.
why I have 4 kids now instead of 5. But I
Yeah.
did get a lot of money, so
That's worth it.
yeah, I think so.
That's definitely worth it.
It was a binary choice.
Worst. I mean, yeah. If you have 5 kids, chances are one of them is dead.
No, yeah, you're kind of playing the odds at that point.
If you had to compare Trump to a biblical figure, would you say King David or Moses?
Would I say King David or Moses?
Or Cyrus. The people say Cyrus. I don't know about
People
Cyrus.
say Cyrus
There's
a
a
lot.
Cyrus thing, but I don't understand.
I don't get it.
Is it supposed to be positive
Yeah, it is.
because because God used him or something?
The idea is that he is a non follower of God,
But he used him.
but God used him. They leave out
So
the
you could
part
use that
where
for
he was
Hitler or
told
anybody,
that he was
right?
going to be that. Like it wasn't like a guess or after the fact. They were just like, hey, I think God might have used him. It was a prophecy. Like it was discussed.
Could anything in Revelation be
Jonah, by the way, Jonah.
Jonah?
He's Jonah.
Trump is Jonah?
Trump is
Trump
Jonah.
is Jonah.
I'm fine with.
Is he
hearing
currently
into this.
in the whale or in the big fish or?
No, because the cool thing about comparing him to Jonah, in my opinion, is because people think of Jonah as a successful prophet, but he's really, really crappy at it.
Right.
He was given a mission. He was going to go to Nineveh, and he was supposed to, tell them God's wrath's coming if you don't straighten up.
Hand out some chick tracts.
He didn't
Right.
really like Nineveh, right?
And then he
Yeah,
gets
didn't
thrown off, and all that. And everybody's like, oh, it's about redemption. No, it's not. It's about not listening, because after it was all said and done, he was
Hacksaw.
to God for not destroying them. So he didn't even get the point of his own story.
Yeah, actually, I like how the book of Jonah ends. He's just sitting there mad.
Right. Right. So that's Trump.
It's like the ending of a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
I'll curb your enthusiasm. What a great show.
I have to make
He's
that
never
video
seen
now.
it. He's never seen it.
Pretending like I've seen it.
Oh, it's on HBO. So
Yeah, I don't
you
know.
can't listen to secular music.
What is
or-
HBO?
Right.
Never heard of
He
it.
pretends, that he also pretends he doesn't watch Game of Thrones.
Y'all aren't the same age I am. I don't think. Am I older or younger?
Yeah.
We're probably a progression. He's the youngest. He's 34. I'm 39.
I look younger than both of you, but I'm older.
I'm
than both of you.
32, by the way.
You're 30. I keep forgetting he's 32. 32 he's so young.
I'm
Doesn't make
42,
any sense.
and when the HBO,
How we
like we
this
couldn't have HBO,
Yeah.
but we had it because back then there was a lot of really bad cable filtering.
Oh yeah,
And,
you could buy a cable box from some shady guy.
It was like Channel 7 was like a
hook for an
fuzzy
arm.
version.
Yeah.
Well, now there's VidAngel. We use VidAngel.
I haven't used that, but
You never use VidAngel?
My dad had, because VidAngel blocks out the cussing and stuff. Or you can pick like
what you want.
Yeah, what you want it to be.
Can
like
we
no
settle
sex.
this, by the way? Is it cursing or cussing? I still haven't.
I always said cussing, but I don't know.
I guess cussing is just kind of a southern way of saying cursing, huh? Kissing. I never realized that
We're here cussing.
Oh, we're kissing
Like
a lot.
in New Orleans or something.
Mm-hmm.
No, so my dad had this thing called TV Guardian. Did I ever talk about this on here? Where it blocks out, it's supposed to block the cuss words out of movies. So, because my parents used to be very strict about what we could watch. It'd be all Don Knotts and Shirley Temple. And then when they got TV Guardian, they thought, well, we could watch anything. Might I get all these R-rated movies and stuff? And but the thing is, it taps into the subtitles, and if there's a cuss word, it mutes for like 2 seconds when that subtitle's on. So sometimes the timing's completely off, and it mutes for 2 seconds. And the moment that it comes back on, they drop a giant F-bomb, and you miss a chunk of the story.
What they should have done is replaced it with other, words.
Yeah, I don't think it was the technology was pretty primitive at that time.
In the TV edit of Dumb and Dumber, he says he's telling him to kiss his butt, and he says, "Right on my sandwich after you kiss it."
Oh man, I love to get a collection of those edits.
Oh, the best one is Die Hard 2. I can't remember the specific ones, but he goes on a long tirade, and it's not even the same voice. And he's using insults that make you're nothing but a cardboard piece of microphone. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all.
And is that a voice actor that's imitating his voice?
Yeah, I think so. I think they've got they got the people to do the translations
That'd
as
be a
well.
good interview.
It's the same thing.
We gotta find somebody who does that for a living. Like, edited,
like you just said, sandwich.
Yeah, sandwich.
That's your whole job.
Yeah, your whole job. You get the list of replacement cuss words.
Oh yeah, you could actually challenge them. They have like rappers do the freestyle thing, and they'll go on a rap show and like see how well you can freestyle. Just start throwing sentences at him and see how quickly he can throw in. You're a stupid flower bed.
He didn't actually say flower bed, just so you guys know.
Y'all should record some.
Yeah, we
just
should
for
do some of
this.
those. We'll have Dave do it in his baritone voice.
Just completely different than that actual.
Like, even when it's a girl you're interviewing, just all of a sudden
flower bed.
Just give him random words to say. Wiener dog, peach cobbler.
I think wiener dog. You'd have to be careful with that one.
Yeah,
or you might have to bleep the bleep.
That's a pretty edgy word.
Yeah.
So
it invokes certain thoughts.
If Trump named Chick-fil-A the national sandwich, would you support him?
I don't think he has that authority. It's already the national sandwich.
Who can?
Well, he doesn't have the authority to do a lot of the things that he does, though.
But he doesn't even have the moral authority to do it. So no, I would reject it.
What would Trump have to do
to get my support?
Yeah.
He could get my support if he was afraid of disappointing or turning down what conservatism was, because he had a constituency that was willing to hold him accountable. So for me, it's mostly about the constituency and their unwillingness to hold him accountable, as opposed to what he says or does. He's going to be who he is. If he at the very least was a transactional president, which I don't think he is, who was willing to give for what it is that he wants to receive, and that giving and receiving had anything to do with what evangelicals and Christians have been claiming it was for decades, then I would be able to make a more pragmatic decision about him. But as it stands, I feel like supporting him is a negative, because too many people already exist around him to give him a pass for everything. If I join that chorus, even to be pragmatic about it, I'm supporting something I can't support, which is...
I feel like we need a "How dare you" audio clip.
Oh yeah, we need the "How dare you."
I'm putting Ethan on the spot because he never remembers which button.
Button. It's on here somewhere. Hold on.
It's losing it.
I have.
And then he's going to press the wrong one.
Oh, it's not turned up.
How dare you!
There you go. Now I feel better. So you deny the leader that God gave us. So, I mean, if you were in Nazi Germany, you probably wouldn't even support Hitler.
Well, I will say this. I don't deny that he was put in this. I think all leaders are, the Bible talks about that. But what the mistake that people make is they act like God's a vending machine of gifts. Like everything that God has a hand in is automatically going to be the best thing you've ever.
It's a good thing.
Right. And doesn't comport very well with all the times that didn't quite work that way. Yeah. Because he has his own idea about what it is that everything is going to, what the plan is. So you don't know if you're on at that particular moment with Trump, the assumption was his victory automatically proved that, well, clearly God's on his side or he wouldn't have won, which was always an interesting thought to me, because if Hillary had, then wouldn't they have had to support her on the same logic?
So
Or Obama.
we get those emails all the time.
Obama one.
How can you not support the leader that God put in place?
Oh, yeah.
But you never hear that when Obama was president. Or,
Obama,
yeah.
more like Obummer.
oh, bummer.
Yeah, well, during Hillary, but like during the election, they would all say, God can use anyone. And we have to stop Hillary.
I know.
And I'm like, wait, I thought you just said God can use anyone. Like, what happened?
So couldn't God use Hillary?
Right.
And now
I
their
mean-
heads have exploded. Good job. You've exploded all of our listeners' heads.
How many people just tuned out right then? Or,
Yeah, we're done.
do hate listeners stay on longer?
I don't know. That's a
I
good
don't know.
question.
I'm interested to know
They probably turn it off.
who our podcasts, because I think our podcast listeners are a specific crowd. I think our, subscribers are a specific crowd. And then, people that generally read the articles is a little more broad. I think that's where we get the Trump, probably the more hardcore Trump supporters. They saw us on Facebook.
Well, it's good that y'all are directly antagonistic to the potential readers you're going to have.
Yeah, that's always a good strategy.
I always feel like we do need to disavow, though, just anything Ben says for our, because you do have a lot of Trump
Convenient
supporters.
timing.
Yeah.
What did you think of this whole idea that a lot of conservatives are supporting Trump just because they have a financial stake? And we do disavow anything Ben Howe says.
Well, I think it's financial would be, you're talking
Like probably like the AM radio guys that like their whole audience.
You mean the pundits. You're talking
pundits,
about okay.
Or even the evangelical leaders, if it feels like their audience, if they're going to lose an audience for taking this stand.
I don't.
And
think
once again, we disavow anything Ben Howe says on this.
I don't think they draw that connection as blatantly as to like think to themselves, "Oh, I disagree with this, but I better agree with it." I don't think that it's that.
You start to convince yourself.
Right.
I mean,
I think that we have the biggest problem in our country is self-deception. And people think of self-deception as like a conscious thing. Like somebody says what they want. I'll give you an example. There's a guy and he just broke up with a girl and he's really heartbroken over it. And she works in a restaurant and he's out with some friends and they're trying to decide which restaurant to go to. And he names the restaurant that the girl that just dumped him works at. And all the friends are like, dude, we know why you want to go there. And then he says, no, actually, their Awesome Blossom
really
is
good,
incredible.
Good chicken
And
nuggets.
In fact, I care so little about this that I didn't even think about it. Like, I don't even care. And the thing is, if you could go in his head at that moment, he believes himself.
Yeah.
So with the self-deception among pundits, I think it's truly like that sports mentality takes over, that team sport mentality. And it's less about whether or not they agree or, at some point it starts with agree or disagree, but eventually it becomes, well, I can't let the Giants win. They can't let the other team win. And that's why a lot of times they'll say things like, to me, they'll say, yeah, Ben, we know your opinion's doing really well when people from the left agree with you, as though that's the standard for truth, which is also, ridiculous.
Well, we're supposed to follow Jesus, and everything that he said was really popular.
He was like the original crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
I stole that joke from Frank Fleming.
Yeah, that's true. That's a Frank Fleming.
Well, it is funny that, when you think about how Jesus disappointed everyone constantly, because they wanted him to show up like on a steed, go straight to the Capitol and champion their cause by murdering Caesar. And instead he came in on a donkey and got killed.
Yeah, they probably wanted him to go overthrow Herod or whatever. Or not Herod, but Pilate. And he goes right to the temple.
Right.
Like he goes right to the heart of the religion when he rode into Jerusalem.
People say that to me, by the way. They go, Trump's turning the tables of the money changers over. That's what he's doing. And I'm like, dude, he is the money changer. Like,
maybe he's flipping over his own table.
Ooh. If he is, that's pretty self-reflective.
I'm dropping my microphone.
You can't drop it.
But it's on a stand, so.
Stumps.
They really did ruin the mic drop on radio, didn't they?
Yeah. I can kind of slam it down, but it doesn't.
You should have a thing. A mic drop, sound.
Oh, yeah.
We could have prop mics right here. You just pick up and drop. We'll
That
get
seems
those.
dangerous.
Get those on the credit card.
If you don't like Trump in America, why don't you just leave?
Why don't you get out?
Go to Canada or something.
I can't afford to.
You can't afford to go to Canada?
Well, Mexico.
That's because Trump has made the economy so amazing.
So amazing that I can't afford to. Well, ever since I've been bathing in the pools of never Trump money that came rolling in.
Flooding in.
Yeah. It's really, why would I leave?
That's a good point. Yeah. So you just tweet something against Trump and then you have your PayPal link in there so people can just send you money.
Yeah. That sound effect, like cha-ching.
Yeah.
Like I've set my computer. Anytime an email from PayPal comes in, it goes cha-ching. You hate God.
I like those people that are really blatant grifters on Twitter and they actually do that. Like they'll have a pinned tweet like, if you like my, virtue signaling, please Venmo me.
What? They do that?
People that just have it in their profile. Like
I want to see a study. I want to see a study of how many people are panhandling on Twitter, like, between GoFundMe and Venmo and everything else. Like how many people are literally just on Twitter begging, and then see it represented as a homeless population, like in a city. Like what would that look like?
Yeah.
What percentage of it, because it really is just like you're on Twitter and it's like you're in a city and there's people coming at you all the time. I get DMs all the time from people. This guy was like really good cause. It was GoFundMe. It was really good cause. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, wow, this kid needs help. And there's this sickness and surgery. And okay, we're almost at our goal of 10,000. Well, let me retweet that for you. And it was at like 9,500. And then 2 days later, I got a DM from him again. And he was like, we're almost there. And it was at 7,500. And I was like, I went and compared the links. It was 2 different GoFundMe links with the same description.
Oh, so you had 2 different GoFundMes going?
Yeah, he probably got caught.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
But like this is the kinds of, because these are the kinds of scams that people offer. And then, then if you're somebody who does what I do, people come after you as though that's what you're doing. Because I made a documentary in 2016 that was crowdfunded. I raised $30,000 to do the film.
That's right. Yep.
And then I started raising money for another film in 2018. And we decided that we're going to do it in 2020 because we didn't even raise enough money. And I have people coming at me all the time going, where's that money? Like, what did you do with it? Are you out there swimming in it right now? And I'm like, we didn't raise the money. We're trying to figure out how to make it. Huh. So that was just so, and if anybody thinks I'm unpopular, the answer is yes.
People have a really weird perception of money. Yeah. Like they'll look at a Kickstarter and go, you made $150,000.
Yeah.
You're buying that mansion. And you're like, well, actually 90% of it went to the product. Developing the
shipping was shockingly expensive.
And people don't understand net worth either. They think that
you're sitting on all that money.
Got like $150 billion in the bank.
Right.
I mean, he may.
Yeah, he could. That's possible. But yeah, it's like it's all the worth of their stocks.
Right.
If they were to sell it right now at full price.
Mm-hmm. So which would destroy the
price of the stock. And yeah. All right. So we're going to throw out a challenge to you here. Mm-hmm. Trump has to be, based on his claims about himself, Trump has to be either liar, lunatic, or Lord.
Mm. That's interesting.
That's C.S. Lewis.
I had known someone else in history that had that description.
Mm-hmm. Let's just go down the list. Liar.
So liar. No, the words he says are true.
Yeah, he says everything. He speaks truth.
I'll give him
never been a more honest
He
president.
thinks they're true.
Right.
I think if you give a lie detector to Trump and he said 2 completely contradictory statements, he believes both of them.
That's because he's double true.
It's very honest.
He's 2 times as true as the rest of us.
Oh man, double true. I'm going to start using it.
And he can't be a lunatic because we know he's a stable genius. So
that's also
out.
true.
That one's out.
But and honestly, like there's really no reason to question it because not only has he said he's a stable genius, and clearly he's said that he's the chosen one.
Right. The chosen one of God.
That's right.
He gave us the answer.
And so that leaves only one option.
And can I just say, God doesn't ever give us direct answers like that.
This is true.
Good on him. For letting us know.
He does it through prophets.
We're sitting here asking God all the time to tell us what's going on. Trump tells us and then we hold it against him. It's messed up. Y'all are convincing me.
We keep asking God to speak to us the whole time. Trump is there.
He's right there.
When we look back on the footprints of our life, and there was only one set of footprints, that's when Trump
Those are Trump's loafers.
carrying us.
Well, no, he's not carrying us. There was one set of footprints and then like what was clearly a body at some point.
being dragged
dragging body,
kicking and screaming.
with dirt. So if Hillary had won, you'd be happier?
No.
Let's get that out of the way.
Sounds like to me.
It sounds like you want Hillary to win.
If the problem for me with 2016 is that a lot of people view me as having wanted a particular outcome. Really, it was like waking up one day and finding out that the job you've been going to for 10 years was fake. And that you're not going to get any money and you're getting evicted. Like my whole understanding of the electoral process changed that year, not because I wanted one side to win or the other.
So it's like one of those people that goes on a show like the Carbonara Effect or something where it's like all a hidden camera show and they think, or like Fear Factor. They think they have a job and then it turns out it was all a prank.
Those are the most messed up pranks when they do that.
Yeah, really messed up.
I always hope that,
a new job opportunity.
Right.
Oh, crap. There's a
good.
mutant rat that's going to kill me.
I could have fed my kids, but turns out this is a comedy show that I won't make money on.
my hope is always that they actually have a job.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's just,
have a
we
different job.
pranked the new guy, but
at
they
least
still
Except
have
now they're on TV interviewing elsewhere. So their boss is like, that was really funny. By the way, you're fired.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because we can't afford to keep you when you're looking for another job.
Oh, it looks like, you're looking for another job.
Right.
That's crazy.
Sorry. Sidetrack on that.
Coming out against Trump, you also denied the
Coming out. That's a good word.
You also denied the words of his prophet, Paula White. And that's very concerning to me.
Well, in Paula White's world, Trump is obviously the closest to God on earth. I mean, your prosperity is a direct correlation between your closeness to God. And really, it makes you wonder why they ever even give lip service to helping the poor, who are clearly the dregs of society and the enemies of God.
Well, she was the very first female heretic to pray at the inauguration. So Trump is lifting up women.
That's true.
It's huge.
When did he become Episcopalian? Am I right? I don't believe anything I just said for the last 3 minutes, just to be clear.
I like how we weave in and out of
We disavow everything Ben says.
the humor, and then no one's going to be able to tell.
No, yeah.
Yeah, we're gaslighting them. This is just like my ex-girlfriend.
We do this on the podcast a lot. We try to get
What's her
people
name?
to say really controversial things, and then we name the podcast.
Yeah, because we need good clickbait.
Ben Howe supports Trump for the first time.
Right. Well, somebody will now have a clip, because what I've noticed is that after I give one of those parody style answers, y'all stay quiet long enough after I've said it to make sure there's some room to cut it out.
No, we're just really bad
without
at
any
interviewing.
overlap, you know?
Yeah. You act like we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
You're under the delusion.
This is well, I don't know exactly which episode this will go on, but we're like 20 episodes in. We're pretty new at this.
All right.
It's not rocket science. We're only 20 episodes in.
Interviewing-
to what? Talking to people.
Interviewing.
Yeah.
They'll finish an answer and you realize you're supposed to say something back. And I'm like, that's like my mind shuts down.
And you just want to think about it for a
And
while.
I look at Kyle and Kyle reads one of the jokes we wrote before he came in.
I usually don't.
They're called talking points, by the way.
They're called talking points. Oh man.
It was funny before I went on the book tour. When the book came out in August, I had these, and this is a flaw. I'm not saying this is a good thing. I had a lot of people who had books published before. I had my editor. I had my agent. Everybody, listen. You've done TV before. You've done interviews before, but this is like your thing, and you really need to have some key points memorized. You need to write some talking. And as the weeks were coming, okay, I'm going to get note cards. So I got the note cards, and I never opened them. And I was like, I really need to do that. And then I just started answering in a way that was scary for them. I was just going, I think I'm going to wing it.
Yeah.
They're like, don't wing it. Do not wing it. I'm like, right. I think I'm going to wing it though. I think it's just what I'm going to do. And it luckily worked out okay, since I'm, clearly a good tool of the liberal cabal. So it was all softball anyway.
Yeah, I find it's good to get on some smaller podcasts first and practice. It's easier to find your answers than to try to write them ahead of time.
Yeah. Why do you think I'm here?
Yeah. So here we are.
Starting with,
That's what we. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm glad we can help you out.
starting in the big leagues here.
Yeah.
Sad.
So
We got
There's a lot of build up getting to this point.
Yeah, this is pretty huge.
So where can people check out your book?
They can check it out at the local library, actually, but they can buy it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Oh, we don't pay. Our readers don't pay for books.
Oh, well, they can get it. There's a lot of those ripped download sites.
There you go. So where can they download
Torrent, stuff like that. If they email me, I'm basically, craving attention all the time.
Great.
So if they'll just pay attention to me for a minute, I'll probably just send them a copy.
That's awesome.
All right, you're on Twitter.
I gave you a copy, and you didn't.
You just handed it.
He didn't even ask for it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to give you a chance to like promote yourself here, and you're just telling jokes.
Oh, my bad. Well, I'm going to be at the Laugh Factory. It's you can find me at every bookstore. Well, I mean, in fairness to me, where do you think you find books? Where can we find books?
You. We'll
at the bookstore.
Your Twitter, your Ben Howe on Twitter.
I assume it's not on Amazon or at any bookstore.
Why would I want it to be?
And it's against Trump, so it's not at the Christian bookstore.
Right. It's in the bookstore at my local church.
And it's the only place you can get it.
Right.
It's in the trash bin.
And it's $79.95.
Okay.
But you can find me at Twitter at Ben Howe. I write randomly, and then you can also hear me at the Fifth Estate podcast on iTunes. Although Jay and I have, for some reason, not done it in like 4 weeks. So please don't expect much. I launched a unfollowed podcast is what I call it, which is just me. I launched it in July. I have not done an episode yet. So the book is out there, though, if you want to check that out.
Podcast with nothing on it.
I have a procrastination that you cannot even begin to comprehend.
We got the idea to have you on from Kira Davis from Red State. Your friend, so shout out to Kira.
I mean, friends.
Friend-ish.
That's a pretty...
Yeah. She was telling you how much she hates your book.
It's a strong word to use. She was attacked by a dog when she had that book in the park.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because of the book, I'm saying.
The dog was a pro-Trump dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pro-Trump dog. Or at the very least, it was a dog that believes in God, unlike...
Oh, at least a good Christian dog.
Right.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Well, thanks for coming on, Ben.
Yeah, thank you, Ben.
Great talk. And everybody vote for Trump 2020.
And we disavow everything Ben said.
Sweet.
All right, bye. All right, and that was the first half of the interview with Ben Howe.
Yeah.
There will be more in the subscriber portion.
If you want to hear more,
We go deeper.
then
Darker.
You need to subscribe. You need to hand us money. We are standing outside of the grocery store, holding out our hand.
We forgot. We need hate
saying,
mail.
Please give us some money. Oh, shoot. Did we not do a hate mail with Ben?
I don't think we did it with him there, no.
No, we did it. Didn't we do all the Trump? No. That was Adam. We did
That was
that.
Adam. We
That
did that,
missed
yeah.
Adam for. Okay, stand by. I had
Should I stop the recording or make this part of the show?
Wait. I've got a good one.
We have a new one that just came in, right?
Yeah, we do have.
You have it like handy?
Hold on. If I can.
Let's see how fast Kyle is. We're keeping it recording. We're recording.
Seth is like the.
What? I'll give you time here on the. We got to do the thing here.
I really miss Adam Ford.
Seth is like the ultimate entrepreneur,
Yes, he is.
and that means that he has a bunch of apps for us to use.
Yeah, he is like gung ho about these
Flower bed.
apps.
So, like all these Silicon Valley, like all these startups are like, "Hey, this app manages your company's
Yeah, it's always
time
named
usage
something like
or whatever."
squiddle or like
Just
tickle.
like a random word. Was that you that did that on Twitter? The
Hubbo.
say
Oh,
random,
yeah.
say a random thing and see if it's an app.
Yeah, see if it's an app, search it, and like it almost always is.
Yeah, squib.
Squiddle.
Okay, so here's one. Here's
All right.
some hate mail.
Make sure you read it dramatically.
Okay, so the this was a
Is there any swearing in it? Usually not. The Trump supporter, they don't usually swear as much.
Oh, sometimes they do.
Yeah, sometimes it's true.
Okay, so we sent out our newsletter, and the top story was a Frank Fleming article. Democrats storm out
Wait, did you say Frank Fleming?
You're getting your reaction time down.
Getting better.
Democrats storm out of Syria meeting after getting into shouting match with Trump over whether a hot dog is a sandwich. Of all the
dumb.
completely harmless Trump humor, that is the most harmless. And yet,
Here we are.
Oh, and I named the email, that newsletter, Trump is a very sick man. in quotes. So I think that made this person think it was.
How dare you?
All right, so here's what this person said.
How dare you?
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I will unsubscribe to you. But first, who gave you the right to send me anything? Much less an email dogging the President of the United States.
Hot dogging.
Maybe you should be speaking about the corrupt Clintons and the previous administration. Yes, Obama will go down as the worst president in history. You Democrats just don't get it. Ha! Then there's Nancy Pelosi. Sent from my iPhone.
That's the end?
That's the end.
Then there's Nancy Pelosi. No, and then just, if they said that to you in person, they'd just nod at the end.
I think I've made my point.
Well, what is it? What is it? What is it? Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees!
I just threw that on there, sorry.
Did you press the wrong button?
That was a preview for next week's podcast.
Oh, okay. That's our horror episode.
Yeah, we're going to do a
with
horror
Brian
movies
Godawa.
episode with Brian Godawa, the Hollywood guy.
Was that
movie episode?
The Wicker Man?
Yeah, that was Nick Cage covered in bees.
That is my favorite. Not the bees. Not the bees.
Yeah, a little taste.
All right, but if you like the bees, then we need you to subscribe to hear the rest of the podcast. And you can do that by going to babylonb.com/plans and subscribe. Throw the money at the screen and you will be entered into paradise. I also wanted to mention we actually have a way for you to contact us now.
Oh, yeah, sweet.
If you email
Send us
us,
feedback. We
if you
love
have
feedback.
Feedback.
We'll probably read it maybe.
Questions. We do some question and answer, usually in the subscriber segment, but maybe we'll do it in the public segment sometime. And if you want to send us questions, any feedback, you want to tell us how great we are, podcast at babylonb.com.
Right?
I was thinking it was podcasts plural for some reason, but I'm pretty sure
I think it's just podcast.
I'm pretty sure it's podcast at babylonb.com. So try that, and if it doesn't work, sorry, I got the thing.
Try them both. CC podcasts.
It's podcast at babylonb.com. So send us an email.
All right, and with that, see you next week.
Kyle and Ethan would like to thank Seth Dillon for paying the bills, Adam Ford for creating their job, the other writers for tirelessly pitching headlines, the subscribers, and you, the listener. Until next time, this is Dave D'Andrea, the voice of the Babylon Bee, reminding you to go forth and get addicted to Jesus.
What?
This article I did with the always pads.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
It was like monster trucks jumping. John Cena's like,
the big elbow drop.
so stupid. All right. What are we doing?
All right. Get ready for... So here we are. We're in the subscriber portion right now, but we got a new intro for it. So listen to this, Kyle.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Babylon Bee Subscribers Only Lounge on the third floor of the Babylon Bee audio yacht, floating on a glistening ocean of crisp dollar bills. Now that we've tossed those freeloading stowaways overboard, come on in and kick back. Put your feet up in one of our fine ramskin easy chairs. Uncork a bottle of finely aged Welch's grape juice and a golden bucket of cheesy fish crackers. Treat yourself to some free Carmen coloring books or one of our complimentary DC Talk body pillows as you enter into the rich and silky world of the Babylon Bee subscriber exclusive luxury podcast experience. Oh, yeah.
Think. Can we listen to it every week? So long.
Absolutely.